Okay, so this is the last one in terms of chapter 3. After I'm done with this set of slides, we're done with chapter 3 in the book. So I obviously spent a lot more detail than what they've done. So we're moving into visualization of trees. And I'm going to review the definition of a graph. And there's basically two main ways to look at trees. One is node link diagrams. So depending on the spatial substrate, you'll see some interesting spatial substrate here. Some of them is 3D, but other is hyperbolic. And then we're talking about space filling visualizations in which they kind of try to use each and every pixel. A little bit like visualization of relevance there. So if you remember a graph, it's a set of edges and a set of vertices. And vertices are a binary relationship. So what are trees? Mathematically, a tree is a graph that is fully connected. In other words, if I start at one node, I can visit each and every other node. So this one, for example, is not fully connected because I have this node here that is not reachable from anywhere. This may be connected to another one, but still not reachable from anywhere. So trees are graphs that are fully connected. In other words, I should have enough edges in there to kind of make it fully connected. And the other thing, a graph, is that it has no circuits. So what is a circuit? A circuit is me starting in one edge and kind of moving from edge to edge, following from node to node, following the edges. And if I have a circuit, means I'm able to kind of come back. So if I had a link like this one that I just drew, then now I have a circuit, obviously. I can start from this node, visit a bunch of nodes, and come back without retracing my steps. Okay, so a tree is a graph that has enough edges so everything is fully reachable, but not too many edges to allow for a circuit. So it has just the right number of edges. So kind of think about it. For a graph with two edges, two nodes, how many edges do I need? One. If I add another one, and it's possible to have multiple edges, there are graphs that do that, I'm going to break it. How about if I have three nodes? How many edges do I need? I need one more at least, so I need two. What if I add one more? I'm going to have a circuit, no matter where I add it. Okay, so for a graph with three nodes, two edges are exactly what I need. If I add one more, again, if I have four nodes, how many edges do I need? Three, for example, there. That's not the only, I could have put it somewhere else. And then if I add one more, I'm going to have a circuit. So that's kind of, you see the pattern. If I have a graph with n nodes, in order for it to be a tree, I need to have n minus 1 edges. So that holds true all over the place. So let's see what, and that is the definition of a tree. Which one is, let me move to the next one. Actually, before I do that, when we talk about trees, many times talk about root. Now, if you remember my previous drawing, something like that, which one is the root? So let's say this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, and this is 4. A tree is a graph with no These two. Do you see anywhere in that definition of a root defined? No. There, there is no. So mathematically, a tree does not necessarily have a root. Once you define a root, it's something you add on top of it. So you pick a node and you say, you said 1 is the root. Therefore, we start talking about levels of the tree, because I can start drawing this tree with the root. So if 1 is the root, then I have, that's considered level 0. And by the way, in computers, trees grow downwards. In nature, they grow up. In computers, they grow down, typically. So I have 2, 3, and 4, and they're linked this way. So then I can talk about levels. So this is level 0, where the root is. And then everything that's connected to the root is going to be at level 1. But that's not the only way. What if I say 3 is the root? It's also possible. That means that 3 is at level 0, 1 is at level 1, and then 2 and 4 are at level 2. So note that it's the same thing that I'm drawing. It's just once you pick a root, you can start drawing a graph that way. Because, first of all, the edges really exist between levels and between consecutive levels. So I would never have an edge from the first to the or level 0 to level 2 bypassing. So I can never bypass a level. And second, nodes on the same level are never going to be connected. So here I don't have a connection kind of going horizontally. So that makes it really easy to avoid intersections. All I have to do is pick a root. Even if I don't have one, I pick a root and I start drawing that graph level by level. Now, link variation, it's possible that links may vary. If for example, even if I have one level with 1,000 nodes, the ones that are going to be in the middle and the ones that are going to be at the edge, there's going to be some variation on that link. But I can pretty much do everything else. No intersections whatsoever, and all the links can be straight. And actually, sometimes I can even not draw the links. Just place them on the level, and you understand where the connectivity is, based on kind of the position and the horizontal. Sometimes that can be tricky, but it's possible to do. Okay, so when I talk about hierarchical information, normally I have hierarchy means there is a root that's associated to it. When I talk just about trees, it's just, it doesn't have to have a root. So sometimes, and I have a video that I want to play here, I can, because a graph is just a tree that has too many nodes, too many edges, possibly, either too few or too many. But most of the time I run into trouble and I have too many. So if I have a normal graph, what I can do is eliminate some of the edges and kind of look at it as if it were a tree. And then I can use interactive navigation to kind of move around that graph. I'm never going to see the entire graph at once, but I also am not going to have intersections. So kind of get rid of intersections. So make things simpler. So 3 plus is an example of looking at a graph as if it were a tree. So kind of let me play that one. Share my screen. I wonder if I have it in Blackboard or I have to go to their website. So I do have it on Blackboard. Okay, so starting in 3, 2, 1.
TreePlus is an interactive graph visualization tool based on a tree layout approach. The main tree browser is in the center, and a display of adjacent nodes is on the right. When you click a node in the tree browser, the node gets the focus, and TreePlus displays its adjacent nodes on the right. Adjacent nodes that already appear in the main display are grouped and shown at the top. They are also highlighted in the tree. These nodes are not yet visible in the tree. The focus node is green with a black border. Blue arrows indicate links from the focus node. For example, dragonflies eat hoppers. Red arrows indicate links to the focus node. For example, woodpeckers eat dragonflies. When I double-click a node, its adjacent nodes move to be directly connected to it. TreePlus animates this transition in 3 steps. Let's show it in slow motion. First, TreePlus moves some nodes to make room in the layout. Next, TreePlus moves the nodes already visible in the tree, fruits and red-tailed hawk, to their new positions. Then, TreePlus moves the previewed nodes on the right to their new positions. To find a path from broad-winged hawks to flies, I can search for it. TreePlus displays only nodes relevant to the search results, which are shown in beige. To focus further exploration on mayflies, I can reroute the tree. To find out what animals might be affected if mayfly populations decrease, I can get a partial overview showing all reachable nodes in a particular direction.
Okay, and by the way, this was a directed graph, FYI. There was a to and a from. Let me go back to the slides. The next one, it was interesting for, I know there's a lot of work, research in entity resolution in the college, so I had it there. There was, it was still, if you look at it, a lot of the tree visualization are from HCIL, Human Computer Interface Lab from University of Maryland. So they kind of looked at it, again, as a tree kind of visualization, and they were trying to do entity resolution. So in this case, it is also a combination of tree and graph, but first of all, they kind of look at it as 2 trees. So one area, they kind of run an algorithm behind the scenes and can try to determine if 2 people are the same based on what they, in this case, based on what they publish, but you can run it on other kind of databases. And then you can see that 2 people are kind of put right in the, by the way, the link did not work last time I looked, so I'm not even going to try to show it. You can try it if, but I doubt it's back. So these are the 2 potential entities that are the same. So you can see that they wrote paper with a bunch of people in the middle, but they also have some papers written with kind of unique people. And this is quite a lot of papers written there based on the size of that circle. So then you kind of have the human get in and look at this graph and say, are these the 2? Is this the same person? Is just the name spelled slightly different or not? Based on that, and then you could interact with it. So what you're seeing, and let me kind of erase this, you're actually seeing 2 tree visualizations. There's one tree visualization on this side with the root here, and there's one tree visualization on this side with the root right here. They actually have some options there to show the entire graph because the connections can be more than just a tree. But this is kind of 2 tree visualizations put together. So hierarchical information, I kind of already talked about that. Root is normally level 0. Pay attention for the quiz when I ask, high levels means nodes that are really down deep in the tree. Lower level means the root and its children. And there's a lot of information that can be represented as a tree, including kind of every data set that you can think of. And there's an example later on in the slides. We're going to go through it. When we do tree maps, they actually can pick up any table that you have and look at it as if it were a tree. It's not necessarily useful, but you can do it. Just like we had the set visualization that you can get any data set, not any, but most data sets, and say, hey, I think these are different sets to look at. So we can use node link diagrams. That's an example right there. Here is one where we got rid of the nodes, and I'll show the link. Here is one where we got, and it's actually what you would see here. We don't see the links, we just have the nodes. Not easy to perceive the structure and actually see. You have to kind of, to see the entire tree structure, it's pretty hard. If you want to show the entire tree structure, notice that I have to show something like this. That's a node link diagram. Again, the nodes are almost missing from there. So they're really small. There's normally it tends to be exponential growth. Pyramid schemes are trees. You start at the top, then you have to find people, 3 people to do something. They need to find 3 more people. So at level 2, you really have 9. So it's going to grow by a power of 3. So level 3 is going to be 3 to the power of 327 and so forth. So as you can see, that's the exponential growth happens when you deal with trees. Now, this is not a complete tree. There's some, like these nodes here don't have a lot of children, while these ones, they do. Or there are a lot of children right there. So in a general tree, there will be exponential growth. That's kind of statistically true. It's not that every tree will go exponentially, but they are very likely to grow exponentially as they go down. There may be unbalanced branches, so I'm using a lot of white space right here, and you can see a lot of white space right here. And again, statistically, you would, and if you look at the root, all this area is not used for anything. So statistically, you would have a lot of white space at the top of the tree, but then it depends. If you have really unbalanced branches, then it kind of starts to add up even at the bottom. And in terms of terminology, nodes that have no children, they're called leaves, and everything else would be internal nodes. So it's hard to show any labels or anything, any data values. I could probably color them, and that's the best I could do with it. But shapes and labels, they cannot be implemented there. Space tree, it's again a visualization from University of Maryland. Before we're running out of time, let's show this one and we'll call it a day, because everything else we kind of start to look at different. So the next one is looking at a circular layout and having a circular space rather than linear. So I'll do a little bit of this demo with space tree, and then that's it for tonight. And you can download this and use it. Go to their website and download it. Even if you don't go to their website, it's already on Blackboard. So you could actually get the software. It's written in Java. So let's get animals, because there's quite a lot. It's a big tree. And just like it's really, I think, the same authors from the previous one that I showed you. So you would see that kind of the interaction looks the same, except that in this one, they try to show you more of the tree. This is an actual tree. It's not a graph. But you're not going to be able to see the entire graph at once. You can kind of zoom in and kind of get out. You can see that some of them are not shown completely. So I could click here and expand more of these. But once I expand something, they kind of tend to reduce it on the other side. So you can zoom in and out That's called a zoomable interface. They talked about it a little bit, probably didn't catch it, but it was in Dust and Magnet. So using the right mouse button, you can zoom in and out. And it's easy to get lost doing it. So that's the taxonomy, animal taxonomy, I think. So I cannot see the entire tree. It's very complex. I cannot see it all at once, but I can kind of navigate through it. And that tends to be a recurring theme with trees.